If I could go back to day one of Zepbound, I would tell myself, this is going to be a lot harder than you think, and that's okay. 24 weeks in, I've lost weight, yes, but I've also lost sleep, and I've battled cravings that I thought would disappear, and I'm making mistakes that I'm still trying to fix today. I'm exhausted, I'm barely getting 4 or 5 hours of sleep, if that much, at night, and now it's affecting everything. This is my truth of being on a GLP-1 for the last 6 months. And if you're here, maybe it's your truth too. Let's start with the weigh in. Is this not the cutest cup you've seen? I just got it. I mean, coffee just hits differently in a beautiful little mug, doesn't it? Hey friends, welcome back. Or if you're new here, hola. My name is Grace. I am a mom of 2 kiddos, and this is 24 weeks on my friend Zepbound. Back on February 25th, I hit a point where I could not stand to look at myself in the mirror anymore. I needed a change. I asked my provider for a GLP-1, and I did 2.5 milligrams for the first 8 weeks. Then I moved on to 5 milligrams for 12 weeks. So I was on 5 milligrams for 3 months. And right now, I just finished my first box of 7.5 milligrams. This week, my weigh in, I am down 0.6 pounds, bringing my total weight loss to 26.8 pounds lost. It's been a roller coaster, but progress is still happening, and I'm learning to celebrate that, even when the scale moves slowly. Say thank you for all the friends who have watched my previous videos. It really helps me out. If you haven't already, please subscribe if you like this content. If you too are on a weight loss or a GLP-1 journey, hopefully you will stick around. So I want to focus on non-scale wins this week. I rarely do. I am definitely a person who measures my success based on the scale. And I know the tales, that the scale will tell are not always true. The scale is a liar, or according to um, Dr. Now, not really. But I know that non scale victories matter, especially on weeks like this one, where I didn't have such a massive weight loss as I've had the 2 previous weeks. I want to focus on um, 3 markers on my scale that went up or down that I think are important reminders that even though the scale is not moving or moving too much in the direction I wanted to, I am still winning. My BMI and my body fat are down, and my skeletal muscle is up. So when I just got this Renfro scale a few months ago, so these numbers are not even the highest that I was at when I started Zepbound back in February. But since I got the scale a few months ago, my BMI went from a 43.3 down to a 40.9. So that's huge. My body fat went from 56.9% to 53.2. And my skeletal muscle is up. So I know that my protein intake, I'm doing a really good job because my skeletal muscle went up from 25% to 27.2. So I must be doing something right. Let this be a reminder that non-scale victories are the real signs of success. I simply just want to go over the 3 mistakes I wouldn't repeat if I was starting a GLP-1 today. I have been using my friend Zepbound for the last 6 months. I cannot believe it has been 24 weeks. It has been half a year. Um, and my life has changed in this past half year. And I have learned some lessons. And I wanted to just go over 3 things. 3 things that I did wrong when I started using a GLP-1 and I would never repeat again. If I was starting a GLP-1 today, I would make sure that, first of all, I wouldn't rely solely on the GLP-1. I am being really honest and transparent right now. I was under the impression that if I just took the medication, I could still eat the same portion sizes. I didn't really have to move. I gave myself self therapy and told myself, you're taking this medication, just let it do its thing. You just keep going on with your life, and you don't have to really change anything right away. Just get the medication down, manage the side effects, and then you can start making changes like eating smaller portions and eating more nutrient dense foods and higher protein and moving and adding exercise to my day. I did that wrong. I know right now that if I would have eaten smaller portions from the beginning, that would have made a change in my weight loss. And if you're thinking, Grace, how are you eating the same size portions? GLP-1s slow the movement of food through your body so you're full longer. It's 38 years of overeating. I have the disease of obesity, and obesity makes you overeat. So I was very much, even though I was on the medication, serving myself the same, portions as I was serving my husband, and I was eating them, and I was miserable at night. Trust me, I paid for it. I was full and bloated. I had acid reflux, and I could not stop belching and burping. It was horrible. Movement. I wish that I would have not waited so long to add movement. And I realize that some of us, due to medical reasons and disabilities, we are unable to add physical exercise right away, and that's okay. But in my case, I'm sharing my experience. I'm not a medical provider, but I'm just sharing what worked for me, or what I should have done. Is I could go for walks, just a walk around the neighborhood every single day since I first started. I waited a while to start moving after I was started the GLP-1, because again, I was taking it easy, right? I felt, well, the medication is going to do most of the work. I don't really have to put much effort in. I wish I would have started movement earlier, not just for weight loss, although that could have probably made a big difference in how much I've lost so far, but also for energy, for digestion, and just for a mindset shift, that these are lifestyle changes that I have to make for this to be a sustainable weight loss. Now, the second mistake that I made, that I would never make again if I was starting a GLP-1 today, is I would put a blindfold on, or I would put or I would delete YouTube off my account of my phone, and I would not compare myself to others, because you've heard it, comparison is the thief of joy. And I let other people's results on Zepbound and Wegovy and mounjaro and ozempic shape my expectations of the kind of weight loss that I would have on Zepbound. I saw folks that were losing 30, 40, 50 pounds in 3 months, and I thought, well, that's going to be me, of course. And everybody reacts to the medication the same exact way, right? So, of course, if they're losing this much weight, why wouldn't I lose this much weight? Boy, was I wrong. Comparison is deadly. It's a fine line between admiration and being inspired by others' weight loss, and taking their results as sort of a stepping stone for, man, they got there, they did it. My win is coming, my weight loss is coming too. But I got to put in the effort, and I got to put in the work. And then the third mistake that I would not repeat if I was starting a GLP-1 today was I would talk myself out of waiting so long to start. I waited too long. I mean, when they hit, the news, because everybody was on Ozempic, being super honest, I was afraid. I was afraid of what the medication would do to me. I was misinformed, and I did not know the science behind the medication. And I never thought it was the easy way out. That's one thing I never thought about on this, about GLP-1s. But I did think, the black box warning about the thyroid cancer, but the more severe side effects like the pancreatitis, those things freaked me out. Not because I have a history of them, but because as an overweight person, I already am at risk for medical conditions, and I didn't want to make it worse by pumping myself with this medication that, I did not know how it would react in my body. So I wish that I would have put my fears aside, put my health first, and realized that this medication does come with some risks and side effects, but um, the benefits that it gives far outweigh all those risks. So I wish I would have been, braver and had a little bit more courage and jumped on the GLP-1 bandwagon earlier, because boy, my life could have been so much different last year, right? I mean, you can't change the past, but I wish that's one thing I could have changed. I wish I could have started earlier. So those are three mistakes I made starting 6 months ago that I wish I wouldn't have done. And if I was starting today, I'd make sure not to repeat those three mistakes again. Now, I want to talk about my injection side. This week, I injected in the left side of my stomach, and I'm starting to think that my body responds better to when I inject on the right side. That's my hypothesis. That's my little science experiment that I'm trying right now. I am not a doctor. Talk to your medical provider. Eli, Lily, and Novo give clear instructions of where we should inject. I am injecting on the suggested injection sites. I'm just running a little experiment right now because I track all of my injection sites, side effects, weight loss, and how I was feeling, and any site reactions. And I noticed that there was a little pattern that every time I injected on the right side of my body, I had greater weight loss numbers than when I injected on the left. Well, guess what? According to what I lost just this week, less than a pound, maybe there is something to this theory, because the 2 previous weeks I injected in my right stomach and in my right thigh, and I lost almost 3 pounds each of those weeks. So next week, I'm going to inject on the left thigh, and we will see what will happen. I will be staying on 7.5 milligrams for another month before deciding whether it's time for me to move up to 10 milligrams. I can't wait for the weigh-in next week to see if my hypothesis holds true, if I do have a specific injection site that is just more successful for me. You guys were right about the yellow dragon fruit. I went to the store, I found it. It is sweet, it is delicious, and boy, it helped with my constipation the same day. And I had it 2 days in a row, and both days it was magical. So the downside, though, is you guys know right now I'm focusing on eating a little less carbs. The dragon fruit alone has 14 grams of sugar. So, those days my meals weren't necessarily low carb that much, but, getting that gut relief was important, and I have no regrets. It is something that I'm going to keep using, because if it worked, I want to keep the movement going. So that's where I am 6 months in. I'm still learning, I'm still growing, and boy, am I tired. Here's where things have been rough. I haven't been sleeping well at all. I am up, tossing and turning at all hours of the night, and I'm exhausted. I mean, it's affecting my mood, my energy, my food choices even. I've about had it with this insomnia. I do have a provider check-in at the end of the month, and I'm hopeful that my provider will give me a plan or medication to manage this. I didn't really want to add another medication to my medical bill, but rest is essential for bodily functions, for our bodies to heal, for weight loss to happen, and I just want to feel like myself again. So if you're going through this, please know you're not alone, and the insomnia, it's real. If you're on this journey too, let's chat in the comments. Are you sleeping okay? I want to know, are you sleeping? I'm struggling. You know that. I mentioned it in the video. But if you're struggling too, tell me in the comments. Tell me how you're doing. How do you feel? What are you doing to manage that? What's also one thing that you wish you knew before you started your GLP-1 journey? Thanks for being here. I appreciate you more than you know. Bye.